Hey Una, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen you in the streets of Tel Aviv. uh,
Absolutely.
and
Unfortunately, I would say.
but I was following you and your team and all your amazing also community efforts that you're doing, and I'm so excited about the product and everything that you do. But before we start, I want our audience to learn more about you and also stuff you did before. So if you can give us a little bit of a background about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I sometimes start way back, and I think it's appropriate in the context of, Lance and why we started the company that we're building. But I'm actually a first generation American. My parents came from the Czech Republic as refugees to the US. And that really gives me a passion for helping people with having an insight into how to succeed. And I think that that's critical, whether you're applying it to work or relationships or finance. And I've just chosen to take it into the direction of finance with the team that I have around me. And professionally, had an incredible opportunity over the context of a couple decades. Um, all over the US. Then also in startups. So, started my career in Washington, D.C., working with different governments and helping them navigate the U.S. government through marketing efforts. And then went to the West Coast, started helping tech companies, helped to launch a pet health insurance company. And then actually my introduction to Israel was largely through Aleph, a leading VC in the area, and was fortunate enough to have them bring me onto the team and help the portfolio companies and then a broader segment of Israeli startups really find their voice when it comes to marketing and PR. Helped launch some companies, notably in their earliest days. They went on to tremendous success, as I'm sure a lot of the viewers know at this point. And, really loved being a part of that path and continued on it until starting what we're working on today.
Which is very exciting. And I'm following everything as much as I can. If I could attend your community events and the way you do it all, also online, of course, now, and empowering them. And I want to know all about it. By the way, yes, you mentioned Aleph, and I think you did a great job. That's how I got to know you. And Michael is also on the summit, so he will, of course, see you.
Fantastic.
A great person. So yeah, lead us through the product. What was the vision of why did you build it?
Yeah. So, there was this period in time between working full time with Aleph and then also with Honeybook, where I went and worked with Oz and Nama full time, working on their branding and marketing. And then I started shifting more and more into freelancing because I frankly have ADD and love working with different companies. And in that iteration, I was a freelancer. So I was working with different companies on different retainers to help them, on periods of either, a month or two, even some whiteboarding sessions that were really focused, all the way through to a couple years at a time. And in that experience, I found that I loved what I was doing, and the promise of freedom and flexibility was something I was absolutely taking advantage of in that freelancing life. But I found that I didn't have any sort of clarity around how to manage my finances in a really clear way. When should I open up a business bank account? When should I LLC? Do I even need to do that? And then how do I appropriately set aside money for taxes, healthcare premiums, and et cetera? And the more that I talked to accountants and friends, I got a crazy range of opinions, frankly, and different degrees of kind of risk tolerance assessments, essentially. And I found that really fascinating. And Gilad Uzieli, who's my COO, we started talking about it actually in Israel as he was freelancing as well. And his wife, even, is a tour guide operator between countries. and discovered that we were having the same issues. And we both really wanted essentially a CFO in our back pocket, or somebody that would have our backs in that way. And so we started exploring through interviews, through conversations with different freelancers, you know, what were they most concerned about? You know, which solutions were they using? And I call myself somewhat of a reluctant founder because I really was just looking for a solution. I was hoping that somebody had built it already and I could just start using it. But the more we dug, we found that, you know, people were just mashing things together to help solve for this. And that started us on this journey of really helping people with a focused product, but then also what you've alluded to is creating this community that can talk about their financial issues. I call it the last taboo, really, and understand how to run a business of one, and kind of essentially realize the power of one.
Wow. Yeah, and I see you personally lead a lot of the sessions, right? The workshops,
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's a fascinating thing. I never expected in my wildest imagination to be this involved in understanding financial structures and, you know, different business
yeah.
registration levels and everything. But I think it speaks to how passionate I am and my team is about helping to solve for this. And we do lead a lot of the sessions because we've at this point had so many conversations about freelancers' needs. We've talked to thousands of freelancers over the course of a couple of years. We've talked to hundreds of accountants. And at this point, I've frankly talked to departments of state in different states
Wow.
about kind of their classifications, even of LLCs, what it means, how much it costs. And so, you know, as we talk to accountants, even we're able to help have a really equal conversation about, you know, this is what you learned in CPA school, but it's relevant to traditional small businesses, you know, those people that frankly Intuit has built a business off of. And this is how it actually applies to an individual person, and maybe where the percentages of how much they save or allocate should be different at this point.
So,
Yeah.
and what makes the user, what makes the stickiness, let's say, in people love your product. So what do they love so much? What are the main features that you see people
Yes.
using?
Absolutely. So we're actually just about to launch a deeper dive in our product, and I'm really excited about the timing of this because means we're just right at the cusp, and anybody that's interested and you know, has a U.S. bank account can download our product in just a couple weeks here. But certainly sign up through our website if you're interested. Uh, we started out with creating a expense tracker, just frankly to see if people would sync multiple bank accounts or financial payment systems to try to see what they were spending money on. Then we further iterated on a more robust dashboard because we really had an ethic about just learning and being agnostic to the solutions people were using. And we found, this was the first half of this last year in 2020, that people really loved and needed to see all of their expenses in one place. They were really tired of hopping between bank accounts and Venmo and PayPal and everything. And they frankly had the result of not even knowing how much they made in 2019.
Wow.
Nobody knew. And we actually saw this spike in terms of urgency at the start of COVID, where in the US, where our users are based today, people were downloading our app to sync all of their bank accounts so they could see that aggregate number to see if they could qualify for different types of financial aid, because they weren't sure how many of their clients would stay on with them. You know, they were seeing some hesitancy in the market, and they had no other way outside of scouring through bank accounts and Venmo statements and stuff to see that one number that they could then divide by 12 and see an average monthly income, right?
Wow.
And so we saw huge engagement around that. And then frankly, our retention across people just checking into the app to see how their money was flowing was comparable to Intuit products, you know, several months. And from there, we started digging into what people wanted us to do more of. And that's led to this latest iteration of our product of actually merging a business bank account with an accounting system and automating all of your allocations for you across your salary, business savings, and expenses, and the complete headache of taxes to the point that we can actually file them for you.
You do it with a certain bank, or is it like a third-party API?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've partnered with Unit Finance, which is another Israeli company. They just happen to sit right next to us in Tel Aviv. And fantastic team. We also work with Choice Bank as our deposits bank on the back end, based in Fargo, North Dakota. Always exciting places. and and then we collaborate with track.tax to find the exact tax percentage that people need. So we retain the data on all the expenses and everything, push them numbers so that we can actually withhold a certain amount and then pay it so that people don't have to worry about their taxes ever again. And we find that alleviating that stress immediately allows for a greater degree of comfort around the allocations otherwise. And we're finding that people are so excited about this that they're actually willing to pay a monthly subscription fee that's double or triple what the industry expects them to pay. And we're just really excited to bring this to bear because we've found it so validated in everything that we're doing and the webinars that we've been having. Yeah, I'm really, truly excited about it.
See, this is something I like about your team. From what I'm seeing, like you guys are moving fast. When COVID, started, you initiated all kinds of right initiatives that people shared on Twitter. Am I right? I remember.
Yeah, so yeah, we do work extremely fast, and even to the development of this banking and accounting solution. But you're right, around COVID, just as it hit, we were taking a look across the industry. We knew we had a product that people were going to use increasingly as it hit, because of the sense of urgency that was created, and we'd been tracking for a couple of years at that point. But we really looked around and said, like, what are others not providing that people need in this moment? And there was a lot of support around how to market yourself more effectively as a freelancer, or what clients might be looking for, how to partner, which are all really incredible resources. But we saw a gap in terms of, here's a huge amount of people that for the first time are entitled to welfare benefits in the US for the first time
Yeah.
in 60
Wow.
years since welfare has been available, right?
Yeah.
That probably have never filed for this before. And now, in addition to that, there's all these other financial aid opportunities like the EIDL loan from the SBA and the PPP loan. If any of those acronyms aren't familiar at this point, then I don't know where you've been, but those were all layers and constantly changing layers of different types of aid that people could get. So we said, crap, like, how can we help clarify this in this very urgent moment for people? So we created a landing page that was an interactive map of the US where you could click on the state you live in, and immediately it would drop you down into what were the different options for financial aid with links to actually apply for them. And even some coaching in terms of where was, which phone number could you call and stuff like that. And we launched that in product time. We had requests for us to create that in different countries, which obviously we don't have the bandwidth for, sadly, but it was such a great resource. And from that, really set a stake in the ground for us understanding the need for freelancers yet again. And then drew even accountants sending their freelancing friends or clients to our site for that kind of resource that was critical, and we kept updating it to a certain point.
Yeah, and it made a lot of brands and people and influencers get to know about your company, and also
Yeah, absolutely.
provided the right service, SOS service to a lot of people that you're serving, and even people who didn't know about your service or are not connected to you enjoyed that. So it's an amazing.
Yeah.
How a small team can do so much in pandemic and crisis like that. I loved it. I saw a lot of people who shared it, and this is just one example again from COVID. But right now it's COVID. You're working from home right now, like the whole team.
Yeah, we're just working from home. The team in Israel has been in and out of the office, just given everything that's
Yeah,
going on. I have been largely in San Francisco, just given the spike early on in New York. Um, just went back there to check in on my apartment there and in the office. It was a bit of a time capsule going back after a few months. Um, but I think everybody is doing well, all things considered. I think we're all managing to navigate, the wildness that has been 2020. But certainly as a team, we're incredibly motivated. We were working remotely before COVID hit and
yeah,
everything. And, we're just truly motivated by the people that we work for, our clients. And I think that, this year has really just reinforced our value, to the community, but also to ourselves. We have been having weekly webinars since it hit. We used to have regular workshops on, biweekly basis in person. And then we just doubled down on the webinars to help coach people, to give them kind of a sense of direction and a compass, at least where it, mattered to them in terms of their finances, which we knew is sensitive right now.
the investors, of course, some of them came before COVID.
Yep.
They see a spike in the users and usage in the need for the product. Are you still raising, by the way, or?
We just raised our seed round. So really crazy time to do that, but very fortunate to have done that. Notably got double down investments from Techstars and Barclays Bank, which we're really excited about, because I'm sure you're aware that those are extremely rare and, are just amazing points of validation in terms of the team and the direction. And then have a tremendous amount of other incredible investors, the former COO of Ally Bank, former investors from Workday, just a lot of ecosystem players, see what we're doing, see value in it. And, that's been fantastic. There's some advisors and additional investors that we continue to talk to. But yeah, we're we're a startup. We'll always be, thinking about the next step and where we want to go and expand. But we're in a really great place right now and excited about that.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, when I asked about the investors, of course, other markets that you're considering, but your market is big enough. Uh,
60 million people. Yeah, I think we're all right for a while.
and
We're focused more on 30 million that are right in the sweet spot of freelancing and healthy incomes. But yeah, it's a huge market and
growing, right?
yeah,
Growing. You see that.
tremendously.
Look at the next years. What are you seeing, right? Same thing the
Yeah.
investors saw.
Yeah, I think one of the most amazing stats that I keep being shocked by, and I think hasn't found broader circulation, is that 73% of students in the next decade will immediately become freelancers. And that's just wild when you think about, I would argue most of us have had some sort of traditional job before we kind of made it more flexible in some way, right? So we had that coaching and that structure and the template to kind of how things are done, thinking about making money, how much of it might, leave immediately
Yeah.
for different expenses. And you have so many students, and we've seen this in our own workshops, that are already, while they're in school, playing with e-commerce stores or starting to coach people into how to build a website and stuff like that, and then really turn the switch as soon as they're done with school. And I just think that speaks to how much this industry is working. And then, just this last week, I saw a stat that 97% of a creative agency's surveyed population see freelancing as a long-term career. So if you partner those two stats, it just really reinforces not only, the viability of this, but also the sustainability and how it's really shaking off the temporary nature that most of the general population would ascribe freelancing.
Wow, so much more to do, so many features that you're going to implement.
Yeah.
And we're only the 1% here. There's so much to be continued here. I'm very happy to get a chance to talk to you after a lot of time, and to have you on the
Same.
summit. It's super relevant for the summit. It's super relevant for the time we're living in. Yeah, I mean, how can people learn more about the product, connect to you, follow your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think all the regular channels are the ones that are most appropriate. Our website is lancebank.co. That's where you can sign up to get a bank account with us that takes care of all of your accounting for the first time ever. We're really excited to create a smart banking solution, first of its kind. And I just see the direction of this increasing over time, just because it makes so much sense today. And then following me, I mean, I think a lot of people know how to find me already at this point, but I'm on Twitter at Rokyta, last name Rokyta, and on Instagram and all those channels, same handles. And always happy to hear from people, share ideas, have conversations that are incredible.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I will attend one of the workshops because I'm a freelance myself. And yeah, there's so much to do in this space. And wow, amazing team. Also the team in Tel Aviv, I met them. Amazing. Gilad,
They're incredible. Yeah.
great.
Severe, incredible shout outs to Gilad, Oren, and Tom because they are truly incredible as a founding team, and are so diligent about bringing all this stuff forward, and like you mentioned, hustling like nobody else.
Small team that does a lot. It's yeah,
Yes.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, and we'll keep in touch.
absolutely. Thanks so much, Nir.
Thank you. Bye bye.